Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel. This video is sponsored by DistroKid, a service which helps you publishing your music to all the major streaming services on the internet. More on that later. And today I'm going to try something new and just talk a bit. So I'm really curious to see the audience retention afterwards in the statistics. So without further ado, here are 10 things which might or might not help you increasing your musical productivity. Here we go. So if you started watching this video, chances are you're a musician, you're male, you're adult, really interested in synthesizers and keyboards, and you run a small YouTube channel yourself, posting your music there. And if this description fits you, then chances are you want your music to be heard by as many people as possible. In order to grow your audience, it certainly helps to increase your creative output, while also creating music your audience really wants to hear. So here are 10 tips how to be more productive in music. So my first advice is to stick to the rules. This is a really good way to keep your creative output steady, because by following the template of modern pop music, you have already a template to work on and a structure and a set of tasks to follow. So for example, any pop song will consist of an introduction, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, and maybe a coda, and maybe a solo and some repetitions. So you don't have to think about that, which gets one task out of the way. And one more thing is to try to learn some basic musical principles like the circle of fifths, building chord progressions, and such things. This really helps, and YouTube is full of tutorials on that, so I've put some links in the description of this video for you to watch. And this leads us to the next point, which is advice number 2 is stop browsing patches. Yeah, this video is directed at electronic musicians, and owning one or more synthesizers gives you access to a huge library of sounds, and browsing them before you begin working on your track will waste your valuable time and thus decrease your productivity. So instead, get a handful of sounds you know will work every time for you. For example, piano, strings, bass, drums, and some electronic stuff. Then create your track and select the sounds you need afterwards. This way the sounds will fit the music you created and not the other way around, which will create more interesting music for your audience. And this leads us to tip number 3, which is advice number 3 is create a template. Yeah. In your favorite digital audio workstation or hardware sequencer, create an empty structure for the intro, the chorus, the verse, and so on, and also for all the MIDI and audio tracks, for the bread and butter sounds you determined in step 2. And also set up all your audio and MIDI hardware in the correct way, so each time you load up this template, everything works just out of the box. This will save you a lot of time, and seeing the template filled with your ideas will give you a clear idea of how much you still need to do and how much you already progressed. So that's a big time saver for you. Tip number 4, delegate. At some point you'll just get stuck, no matter how creative you are. And then it's a really good idea to delegate some of your work to other musicians and make collaborations with them. And luckily, the internet is full of opportunities to do so. There are other YouTube channels, there are Facebook groups, Reddit and Discord servers, and many more. There are even web pages dedicated to this special problem. And yeah, doing so will often result in 2 advantages. First, you get new and exciting ideas you wouldn't have come up with yourself, and also you broaden your audience because you join your audience with the other musicians' audience. So going down this route will always result in unexpected, refreshing and interesting ideas, so it's highly advisable. And this is the perfect moment to talk about this video's sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a company which helps you publish your music to all the major streaming services on the internet. Instead of taking a cut from your revenue, they will charge you a low fixed fee starting at $19.99 per year. Now, imagine you created an awesome piece of music that you share on streaming services, and you had invited some fellow musicians for collaborations. And now imagine that piece of music is somewhat successful. The last thing you want to happen is that you get in a fight over how to split the revenue, right? Well, DistroKid has a solution for that. It's called Themes. Once you upload your track to DistroKid, just click the Themes page and start adding the mail addresses of your collaborators. You can then specify how to split the income in percent, and that's it. Of course, partaking collaborators need to have a DistroKid account, but adding people here who don't will automatically grant them a 50% discount coupon with an invitation to create an account. You can add as many collaborators as needed, and you can change the amount of splits anytime. Also, collaborators can only see their own name and the percentage they get compared to the rest of their anonymized co-workers. If your collaborator chooses not to join DistroKid, you're free to distribute their split among the others or keep it yourself, whatever. Number 5. Copy music you like and analyze the music you love. Yeah, this is obvious. Don't be ashamed to steal anything that you like and re-record that, because when you do that, you'll use different sounds, you'll sing with your own voice, you'll perhaps use other words in your lyrics, so you'll end up with a different song anyway. And yeah, a lot of artists do that, and there are a lot of examples throughout rock history of songs which are eerily similar, and I'll link some examples for that for you to enjoy in this video's description. Number 6. Don't try something new all the time. Well, I'm not saying you should never ever try something new, but if you stick to a certain style, you will develop that over time and you will get better and you will get faster. And don't forget that people come to a YouTube channel or music page because they love that particular style you developed and they want to hear more of that. So you're building a relationship with your audience there, and you don't want to risk that, okay? So, number 7. Learn to play an actual instrument. Right now it's possible to create a professional sounding song from start to finish, mix and master it, put it on the internet on a smartphone, without ever touching a real instrument. But learning a real instrument will broaden your musical horizon, lead to new ideas, and add expression to your music, which is at least difficult on the user interface. So, for example, composing a piece of music for guitar will certainly lead to a different result than composing it for piano or for violin. That's obvious. Number 8. Read some books. Well, not too obvious this one, but I found that reading books increases my creative output. Maybe that is because, reading is a transformative process. You read the words, the sentences, the paragraphs on a page, and you create something meaningful in your head out of that. And creating music is the other way around. You have something in your head and you create something meaningful on your musical instruments. So maybe one feeds the other, I don't know. Number 9. Start moving. Yeah, and by that I mean the physical activity. So take a walk, go by bike, do something outside. And I often found that while doing so, I have the best ideas what to do next. I find a solution for a problem that I've been pondering the whole day. So yeah, it's true what I say. Being in motion puts your mind in motion. You should try it. And finally, number 10, and the most important advice to anyone working on their own devices is: don't strive for perfection. Don't aim for that 100%. It will only make your days miserable and you will never finish anything. Instead, go for 75% or anything that you feel is good enough to release, and then release it to your audience. And your audience will never notice if that bass was slightly too loud or if that guitar has a slight mistake in the last 2/3 of the track. Just release it and move on to the next project. This way you keep your output steady and your audience will have more connection to you and your work. And those were my 10 tips to be more productive in music. I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and give a thumbs up to this video. And if you have something to add, please do so in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear your ideas to tackle this subject. And as always, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye!